Okay, welcome back. Back to back. We are back to back. Back to back. Maybe I should go back to my high school reunion. Make everyone go to security clearance. Okay, so back to back. Maybe I should go back to my high school. Maybe my high school. I can't remember. I think it's like a Drake line or something like that. Should go back. Maybe my high school reunion will be worth an appearance. Make everyone go through security clearance. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, we're in a very good mood today. So I figured we might as well do these back to back. Press record. Awesome. I think this one's really cool because it's a good sort of continuation from what we talked about. And I know we talked about a lot of stuff in the previous breakdown, but I think this one really gives you, some hands-on practical examples. So let's jump straight into it. We've spent a few minutes now, a portion of the mix on a particular style, and we've gone through some stages and we've gone through some peaks and troughs, okay? And now I am going to switch to a different blend, different style of music. Now, one of the ways that we can approach this when we are switching over, okay, we can look at doing it from a perspective of creating a dramatic build-up, right? So we can do it more intentionally, what we are here, and go with that classic sort of progressive house, big build-up, right? That's been overabused and overused and oversaturated and everything in between. And we're gonna take that, flip it around a little bit, add our own unique flavor to it, and then instead of doing something that people are expecting, we go completely left field, right? So that's just one example, right? So you can take something that's been, a staple in dance music, and you can use it, right? And you can create something that people are sort of familiar with, right? Add your own spice to it, and then surprise them, okay? First and foremost, whenever I can, I really enjoy doing something else in the background, okay? So we have something like this where I basically just put my finger on it, right? And we're just, subtly, creating that tension underneath, okay? Some of these effects, they require a little bit of time to build up, right? They're a little bit more subtle in nature, and they require just a little more time, over 4 or 8 bars to really start ramping up. They start duplicating, start repeating themselves, okay? And create that energy underneath. And usually when something like that, I try to bring in and sort out the next track with one hand at least, or bring up the next cue point, And in this situation, I wasn't really able to do that. So we've had to let go, and then we let the song breathe a little bit without anything, And that's okay. Usually I would try to go even more ballistic, and keep on adding effects. But in this situation, we weren't really able to do that because I have to have the next song to bring in, right? We're not continuing with this song. We're having the next song that we want to switch into. What effects you use here, like, I'm very up to you. We've talked about this before. don't get into what effects use here, what effects use here. It's complete nonsense, right? Every song's different, every mix is different, every situation is different. The only thing I would suggest is always look at adding a couple things in. Don't look at just adding one thing in. Try and always couple that with something else to create something different. See how you go. We'll always experiment with different effects. Delays and obviously reverbs are always good ones to create that bit of tension. There's the great helix effect that does some wacky stuff on the modular effect. Try some of those out. There's some great pad effects. There is some great channel effects that you can work with as well. Let me just double check. The sound color effects. The sound color effects, okay? They are also a great option. That's where it has that crush effect, that has that shimmer. It has a range of different tones that you can use to try out. And the great thing about those is because they apply to your channel, and then you can add one of the mode effects there as well, and then you can couple that with like a pad effect. So you have 3 effects there, right? All sort of smashing together. That's the only thing I would really say in these situations. Be willing to just try things out. I wouldn't necessarily say there's a sort of go-to, like there isn't like a go-to sort of master chain. If anyone tells you there's a sort of go-to master chain, just chuck that in the rubbish. Don't want to use that. Always, you can use elements of it, but every song has its own texture, its own sort of application, and that I will go from that perspective, and just always have a fresh canvas of what you want to do. I think if you're starting to sort of use replicates or something, just don't. I mean, and for me, that's a no. If that's something that you like to do, then okay, sure, give it a crack. That's not for me. Every song that I do, it's starting from a blank canvas. It's starting from fresh percussion, everything. So every song, its own story, its own personal thing. And it's music for me, particularly when I'm creating music, it's very, very personal for me. It's a very emotional thing for me. And sometimes can be a very challenging journey when you're working on a project for me. Like I'm sure many of you are out there when you are working on your own music as well. So it's okay when you're getting ideas down, right? So perhaps in your digital station, or perhaps when you are working on certain things like this, when you are working on a mix, have your go-to things. There's nothing wrong with that, but just don't rely on them too heavily. Just don't be like, okay, that's what I'm going to use, right? Always be willing to just be a little bit uncomfortable. Don't get too comfortable in that's your effect, right? Always be willing to push yourself and try something else out, try something new that could work in that one. And again, that's when you are creating those unique moments. You're creating that experience rather than just playing the mix. Okay, another thing you can do here is you can gradually increase also the intensity of things. You don't have to just have it like this here when it's sustained and you're waiting it to sort of develop. You can increase the intensity and be more creative about what you're wanting to apply here. In this situation, I am a little bit more focused on bringing up that next one because I know that I want to switch into it. So I am my hands are tied in terms of what I can do 100% right now. You can hear like dun dun, right? So even trying to sort of extend that out a little bit, having a delay when the most dun dun and the kicks come in, working with that. The great thing with these ones, manipulating that stereo image, right? So when we have these effects, especially in this section I'll show you, we go expanding out that stereo image. So not just from the center point where everything is, right? That focus point, we're moving things out into that stereo space and creating that depth. We're really creating height as well, because we're really extending out what we can present with the effects. And you notice here, if I build up this effect, right, and I know if I let go, a lot of the energy is going to dissipate in it. One of the ways you can mediate that is by not making it so noticeable. You can see that we are letting go of the effect, right? But then we're adding in some of that sound color effects to help smooth that out. So rather than just cutting out, the energy is just, you're here and you're adding a bit of that color and then you're sort of allowing it to just gently sort of blend into it. And for me, it's not at the same high intensity, but it's not as low as it could get, right? So we're just blending it through and we're allowing that intensity to keep going. Okay, so now we're adding something that's a little more permanent, so that I don't have to physically be there. Okay, so adding the color effect, we've allowed it to blend into the build, right? And we keep going. Now you can hear how the shimmer is really bouncing off and the percussive elements.